Hello, guys. Welcome into the Starcastic Remarks studios. I am Ryan Chambers, the host of Starcastic Remarks. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network, and we are brought to you by DraftKings. Make sure you use the promo code THPN next time you go and use their app. This is the AGR for game number 24. The Stars lose tonight by a final score of 2-1 to the San Jose Sharks in San Jose. And tonight we got several things to talk about, also a bit of Stars news as well. So let's just go ahead and jump right on into it. Hey James, hey Chris, how you guys doing? Doing all right?
Very tired.
It's
Yep.
12:30 again, and we lost again. This is not worth it.
It's not, and I don't enjoy staying up late here and not getting a win out of any of these three games in this.
0 for 6 on the points in this road trip.
Yep.
Icky. Big icky.
Yeah, and it would have been nice to at least get, one. Even it just going to overtime, I probably would have been happy with tonight. But what's y'all's original thoughts coming out of this game tonight?
I mean, we were the better team. It just looked like we were uninspired, especially our best players. Our best players were not our best players tonight. Our best offensive player was Michael Raffl. And you've got a big issue when he's your best player. The deflection he scored was awesome. He had great offensive plays all the way up and down the ice. He had great defensive plays as well. He was the most noticeable forward. And if he's your most noticeable forward, the guys who are making the most money are doing something wrong. So that's the big word for me, is it was uninspired by the important people.
James, what did you think?
I mean, it just didn't hit the back of the net tonight. It felt like every chance that we had, we kind of shanked wide or just put it right into the goaltender's chest. So
the thing I was most frustrated with is it didn't seem like we were getting any kind of puck luck here tonight. And, the Stars just didn't capitalize on most of their chances that they had, and it just seemed like whenever we had a 50-50 puck, we weren't winning those kind of battles. And, I mean, we were doing really well for a majority of the game. The first and third period were great. The second was kind of it was more even than the first and third. But overall, I thought we played a great game. We just didn't get the win tonight. And I just can't quite point my finger on something inside the game that I could say, okay, that's the reason why we lost the game.
And maybe you hit the nail on the head more than I did with the uninspired comment. And it was losing puck battles, because it felt like we weren't winning any of them. Like, there was points when the puck was just wide open in the slot, and we like normally that'd be a mad scramble for the puck, and you're trying to get on the puck and put it into the back of the net. It just felt like we were like spinning around trying to swing our sticks at the puck. It didn't seem like he was urgent. It didn't seem like anybody wanted to take control of the game. And overall, it just didn't. It seemed like we did not have great effort tonight. The upside for me is that we didn't play very well, and we still coulda, shoulda won this game. So,
well, that's exactly why I'm frustrated, is because we were the better team, and I mean we were by far the better team tonight, and we just didn't win. And I don't know if this is like a Dallas Stars curse thing for me and what it feels like, but it feels like when we're the better team and the other team is just getting lucky or whatever, we end up losing those games despite the fact we were the better team. And then when it's, the flip side, when, we're not the good team, but we're getting lucky, aka the Vegas game, we end up losing the game. And it all goes back to that comment that the good teams find a way to win.
Well,
and we haven't found a way to win at all in this whole road trip.
Yeah.
And so does that make us a bad team?
on the road, yeah.
On the road, yes, most definitely. We can't win on the road at all. We've proven it over the last 3 games. We've had a game that we should have won. We had a game that we didn't even play in, and we had this game that we should have won but didn't.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Chris. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, the bigger issue for me, team-wise, we were the better team overall, but the way you win hockey games in today's NHL is your important players take control of the game and they go make a play. Nobody who's supposed to be a goal scorer on this team wanted to make a play, it felt like. That's why I mentioned Michael Raffl. It felt like he was the only guy who was trying to force something to happen. And I know we had Hintz out, and he's our number one goal scorer. someone's got to fill the void. You can't just say, "Oh, there's a void." Oh well. So someone's got to step up. And when I think of guys who are supposed to step up there, it's Ben, it's Sagan, it's Rads, it's Klinger, it's Heiskanen. None of them made a big impact on this game. Especially Sagan looked absolutely atrocious, especially on the power plays. Just every time he touched the puck in the offensive zone, instant turnover on multiple different power plays throughout the night. He looked awful.
All right, so before we go any further into the game, because there's a lot of good thoughts that are coming up in my head, we do want to mention the big elephant in the room, obviously, and that's the fact that it appears that goaltender Ben Bishop is done, and not done as in, not coming back this season. It appears that his career is over, and even Jim Nell has come out and said, because of this degenerative knee injury he has, he's done. So, what does that really affect the Stars all that much, or what do y'all think? I honestly don't think it affects us much. It just really sucks that a guy who is a Vezina caliber goaltender, if I can talk, is not getting the opportunity to come back just because his body won't let him.
Yeah.
It just really sucks.
It doesn't change anything for the Stars. I mean, it's kind of been solidified already. It's going to be Holtby and Ottinger. We'll see what happens with Hudobin. But yeah, that's what I'm more upset about. Is I'm really pissed off because Bishop, if he didn't have that injury, he would still be a Vezina caliber goalie. He would still be trying to get a Vezina, trying to win a Stanley Cup by himself, like he did with Tampa Bay or in the early 2010s, like he did with us in the later 2010s. And he's just never going to get that chance again. And that's just not fair for him. I really feel bad for him about it.
And it really didn't seem like he was ever going to come back, really.
Yeah.
The last time we saw him in the NHL was, I forget which game it was. It might have been Game 2 against Calgary in the bubble playoffs, and that was a long time ago now.
Yeah. It's just crazy that we got that little bit of hope, and it was immediately doused. Like,
yeah, right.
Such a sad way for it to go out. It just sucks.
Right. And those of you that don't know, the little bit of hope that Chris was talking about is the fact that Ben Bishop was supposed to be down in the AHL for a conditioning stint he could be down there for as long as 10 games, I think is the rule. And he had his first game on Wednesday against the Chicago Wolves of the AHL, and he let in 8 goals on 35 shots, which is not very good. And especially at the AHL level, which is a much slower pace. There's not as much skill down there, obviously, just because it's a lower league. And his showing was not very good. And that leads me to this question, too, is do you think that the decision to hang him up was his, or do you think he was maybe told, hey, you need to make a decision. This is probably the decision that's right for you, from like Jim Nill or
no. Nill said it was Bishop's decision in the article from Dallas Morning News. I think Nill said specifically that it was Ben Bishop who decided to hang him up after that game.
And that makes me even more sad because he's the one that made the decision, the decision to kind of hang him up. So it stinks that we'll never get to see him in a Dallas Stars jersey again. But he'll still be around. I'm sure we'll see him, obviously, because he's got his contract until 2023, and it'll be up at the end of next season. But I just did want to mention that before we get any further into the game, because that really sucks. It really sucks to see somebody as good as he is and as good a person as he is as well. I mean, he gets lots of compliments from around the league, from Tampa, from Dallas, and I mean, even from some short stints in other places when he was a young kid. Everybody had nothing but good things to say about Ben Bishop, so it just really sucks that he's out. But anyways, getting into the game, guys, before I go over the scoring summary for tonight's game, which is really short, but there was one player that I was actually fairly surprised about that had a really bad game, and that was Miro Heiskanen. There were several plays that he was beat on. He was beat on in a foot race against I can't even remember one other fast guys, and that normally doesn't happen with Miro Heiskanen. And he made several uncharacteristic turnovers in the offensive zone when we had pressure, and I don't know. He just had a bad game. I don't think the pressure's getting to him, but do you think the amount of minutes he's playing is probably getting to him, or is it just it's just a road trip and he's tired?
No, I just think he had a bad game. I mean, honestly, for a defenseman in today's NHL, he doesn't have that many for a top defenseman. I mean, there's teams that have one good defenseman and they'll play them for half the game. I mean, Heiskanen has a lot of minutes tonight, and he still only has 23, not 30. So definitely not going to be a time issue. It's just he just had a bad game, I think, and it's obvious to us because that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into the goal summary for this game, guys. The first goal scored tonight was in the first period, and the Sharks would take a 1-0 lead going into the first intermission, but that goal was from Thomas Hertl, his 14th of the year, from Timo Meyer and Alex Barabanov, who is a former Toronto Maple Leaf, and it was just I don't even know what to call it. It was just another freak goal that seems to happen to go behind Holtby.
It was lucky, is what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
It went in, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Wow, that was lucky."
Yeah.
So,
just frustrating.
You couldn't even tell how it went in.
It wasn't even a good play. He just grabs the puck, spins around, and throws it at the net. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Is it just me, or do those goals seem to go in a lot against the Stars?
Well,
or is that every NHL?
It goes in against Holtby.
It goes in against Holtby. It goes in against Hudobin. Like I've said, every time this happens, it happens against one of our smaller goalies. Has this happened against Uttinger? Not very much. I can think of one that was from the point that got deflected in, and even then, that's just a deflection. That happens. These goals go in a lot more against Holtby and Hudobin just because they're smaller. That's just the way it happens.
Well, I don't know if I fully agree with that because Holtby is still 6'2". It's not like, I mean, that's only a couple of inches. It's not like he's a tiny dude.
Compared to Ottinger, he's a smaller guy, bro.
Okay, well, yeah, but Ottinger is 6'5". There's not many people that can be taller than Jake Ottinger.
But 6'5" saves more than the 6'2".
I guess
and
it
his
always
positioning
helps to have a little bit more
amazing.
flesh in front. So.
I feel like Ottinger's positioning is better than Holtby's though too. Just in general, I think Holtby is more of an athletic guy and can make those crazy saves, like you saw in their Stanley Cup run. But I think Ottinger just overall fundamentals and positioning is just more solid.
So the kind of like we mentioned, the first period was, pretty dominated by the Stars. They were getting a lot of good chances. Nothing was going behind Reimer. And something I mentioned in the first period was the fact that there were a lot of rebounds coming off of Reimer. And like literally as soon as I put that on Twitter, Razor said the same thing, is there was a lot of pudgy rebounds coming off of him. And the one thing we didn't do in that first period was get a goal, and I think it was because we didn't take care of those pudgy rebounds and put one behind Reimer.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely true. I felt like we didn't that, and that's another part of what I was talking about in my opening comment. Is it felt like we didn't have a lot of urgency around the net. Like every time the puck was in the slot, like you were saying, it felt like it wasn't a big rush to get the puck and put it on net again. It was just kind of lackadaisical.
And maybe that's a 3-game and 5 nights kind of deal, but still,
well, that's a motivation kind of deal. You got to find a way to motivate yourself against the team on a late game.
Right.
I mean,
and this is a team that we should beat. Statistically, this is a team that we should beat if we want to consider ourselves one of the top teams in the Central. And right now, with as tight as the Central is going to be, you need all the points that you can get.
Well, and we played better than them, even when we didn't have our best stuff. But you have to be more urgent against teams like this. Like we can't win just based off how good of a team we have. We've proven that. We have to be good, and we have to play hard as well. So if you're not going to play hard, you're not going to win a hockey game on the road. So they got to figure out how to motivate themselves on the road and not just at home.
So where are they finding that motivation from? Is Rope Hintz really that big of a motivator, and he sets everything for the Stars? Because he wasn't in tonight, and no offense from the Stars.
I think that is a big part of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was actually sick during either of the previous 2 games as well. But also just the guys who make money have to try. I mean, it really felt like Sagan and Ben were not trying all that hard tonight. So
And
Same for other people, but those are just the two guys who come to mind.
we're kind of getting off the score summary a little bit, but who cares?
Screw.
What did y'all think about the line combos that Rick Bowness put out there? Did you like them at all?
I mean, they're fine, but like, what are you supposed to do when your best goal scorer goes out? There's not much that's going to be correct. So,
I mean, the only thing that I would say on the night is that he left that top line together, and they felt good in the first period, but after that, they didn't really have anything, and he should have broken them up after that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, James.
That's pretty much my only complaint with it.
Yeah, I would have preferred that he just slid Gurionov into where Hintz was, but I know that's not super realistic, and there's no reason to believe why that would have worked any better. So honestly, just a personal preference.
Again, this is a personal preference for me, but I would have loved to see him put Sagan in up on that top line, because I mean I felt like that would have been a perfect opportunity for Sagan to maybe get going again. And we keep talking about this, and we shouldn't have to be talking about this about Tyler Sagan, but we are. Tyler Sagan at his best is a first line center, and he could have been given that opportunity tonight, and he could have been playing on the top line and throw him in Hintz's spot, and I think it would have worked, but we didn't really see that, and I would have loved to see a line of Robo, Pavs, and Sags, just to see if that might have clicked for Sagan, and it might have clicked in Rope Hintz's absence. What do y'all think about that?
That's a way better idea than my idea. That's so smart.
Just while we're still talking about Sagan real quick, he had one play on the night where he went and cherry picked to try to go get a breakaway, right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about now. Yeah. But he couldn't even outskate the defender, and
he couldn't hold on to the puck. He couldn't stick handle.
He couldn't do either. He couldn't skate fast, and he couldn't do anything with the puck, and it fizzled into nothing. Yeah, that play just proved to me that he's not good enough anymore.
Yeah. Tanner Caro's breakaway was way more athletic than Tyler Sagan's was tonight, and Tyler Sagan was intentionally trying to get a breakaway. So I don't know what's going on with him.
So what do the Stars need to do to fix their road woes? I guess is what I'll call it.
Try harder. They should have easily won this game. If they tried harder in this game, they would have won easily. That's all it comes down to.
Now, I still feel like if they play like this in most games, they will win most games.
If they try hard to crash the net. If they're at home, they crash the net so hard, and they just bury all those pucks that are loose in the slot. And they just don't tonight for no reason.
And also, for a big thing for me on the road games is this team does not look physical at all like they used to. Like on these road games and on these maybe lesser opponents where we should be winning, being a little bit more physical is going to help us a ton. And just to pull up the hits on the night to point it out, the hits were 16-21 in favor of the Sharks tonight.
Yeah.
So
you're right. Being physical and getting scrappy goals, that's the best way to win on the road. And we didn't try and do either of those things. We had one beautiful goal on a deflection from Raffle, and there wasn't even really any goal mouth scrambles in San Jose's net that I can remember. So it was not a very hard-working performance.
Well, y'all talk about being more physical in road games and stuff like that. But when I look at the 7-game winning streak and how they play at home, I see way more creative plays from them in that span of time than I did in this game tonight.
From the top line, yes.
Right.
But from a Jamie Benn and from a Hockenpah, they're throwing the muscle around.
Hockenpah. Yes, but then we need to put a line together that can get more creative with the puck, because that has been what has been successful.
Well, that's just because we didn't have Hintz. There's nothing we can do about that tonight. And if we can't be creative, then we need to be scrappy, and we weren't either.
I slightly disagree with that, because I saw a lot more dump and chase tonight than I have in the previous month, and I just don't feel like that's the recipe for success for the Dallas Stars. And I know we don't have our most creative forward here tonight, but we still need to see those. I mean, like Jacob Peterson, for example. we see like flashes of brilliance from this guy with the way that he can stick handle and how he handles the puck. And so that's something that we need more of in, maybe to try and make more of those creative plays from guys that don't normally make creative plays.
But then we see
Now-
guys like Sagan try and get a breakaway going, and they can't even stick handle the puck. Or like Ben trying to do a chip around the boards to get around a defender. He can't even do that. He can't corral the puck afterwards. Like, these guys are not the creative offensive players that they once were. So they need to find ways to score. Because and this is just where we're going to have to disagree. Because I don't think those guys are creative offensive guys anymore.
Do you think Sagan could get back to that point or no?
I think he can, but he's not showing me anything right now to show that he's anywhere close.
Now that I can agree with you on. I still would like to see some of these guys force themselves to be more creative with the puck, because that's kind of how we've been able to get more scoring chances.
We'll do something. Be creative or be scrappy. They did neither.
Then that's also a good point too. They were there, but I felt like they were more scrappy tonight, which didn't allow them to score more goals. And give credit to San Jose for where credit's due, because they did block 29 shots tonight. 29 attempts at the net, and they blocked 29. Stars only blocked 11. So, I mean, the Stars were trying
the whole time.
yeah, we had the puck the whole time, and we were throwing it at the net. But San Jose played a decent enough defensive game to force the Stars to kind of try harder. So, anyways, getting back to the I guess we'll just mention the goals, because there have been a lot of good discussions. But Erik Karlsson gets his 8th of the year in the second period. From Timo Meier and Alex Barabanov again. So the two guys get 2 assists here in the game tonight. And, that one really kind of solidified it for me that, like, no, we're not winning this game. It was just a feeling. Did y'all get that feeling at all?
Yes, I definitely didn't think we were going to be able to score 3 goals. So I thought we could tie still, but no chance we were going to score 3.
Yeah.
And we can go ahead and talk about the goaltender interference now. It was definitely goaltender interference. If that's not goaltender interference, then that's insane. The rule should be changed. But you can't push the guy's glove out of the way when he's trying to save it with his glove. I feel like that should be obvious, but whatever.
I mean, it was extremely obvious. When Dad was texting us and he said that's a load of bull crap. I can't believe that they didn't call that back or whatever. And I was kind of like, I didn't really get a good look at it. I didn't see what happened. And then James sent me the picture, and I was like, oh my word!
When a picture
took his stick, lifted it up, and lifted the glove out of the way so the puck could go past him.
Well,
I don't understand how that is not goaltender interference.
I think he's trying to deflect. I think he's trying to deflect the puck, but yeah, it's still goaltender interference. He moved his arm. Yeah. He moved a part of the goalie's body that he was trying to use to make the save.
And you didn't even need the video to see it either. Like, a picture described it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I saw the video made it even worse. I don't understand. And then, even Sevi was very professional and polite about it in the second intermission when he was asked about it by Brian Ray, and Brian Ray asked, "Hey, is that goaltender interference?" And he didn't say no, but he also didn't say yes, and he said, "We don't make those kind of decisions." So obviously he's telling Stars fans that was a load of crap and that was not a goal and it should have been called back. And I don't know. We were playing well, and just that goal just seemed to really put the nail in the coffin, and it was really frustrating because I was getting hacked off at the fact that we were getting no putt luck. We were getting all these shots and everything, and that second period was more even, but still that first period we didn't have anything. And I think it was just a culmination of everything from those first, I don't know, it was later in the period. So the first 35 minutes of the game, and it just kind of all culminated on that, and I was real mad through the rest of the second period and through the second intermission. So, but let me ask you, was that really the turning point, and the Stars were just kind of like deflated at that point? Because I don't think so.
No, I mean, they pushed well in the third period. They just didn't. I didn't think they crashed the net hard enough, and I'm going to keep saying that, but I know it's probably annoying by now, but yeah, that's what I think.
I mean,
And
this game.
wait, sorry, real quick. The
Yeah,
6-on-5
go
was
ahead.
terrible. That sucked.
Yeah.
This game perfectly encapsulated the exact opposite of what we did in the Golden Knights game. We had a lot of chances with one goal to show for it. And then in the Golden Knights game, we had a few chances with tons of goals to show for it. And
Took
that
advantage
We
can't
of the
lost
power
just
both
play more
games.
than anything.
yeah, we lost both those games. But like I think a big part for me tonight was that we still like just couldn't score on the power play. Like we had a bad night against the Kings on the power play and a bad night tonight on the power play. And it even looked good tonight, but it didn't get in the back of the net. So
And I think that's recompense for the 3-for-3 in Vegas.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just really frustrating because this whole road trip, because the game against Vegas, up by 2 goals in the third period, Joe Pavelski looks like he puts it away and he gives us the 2-goal lead. And even though we had pretty much been outplayed at that point, it looked like we were going to finally steal one instead of just being the better team. It would have been nice to be able to steal a game. That didn't happen. They come back, score 3, we lose 5-4. The LA Kings, yeah, we got outplayed. We were not the better team, but that's still a game that we need to win. That's a team below in the standings that we need to win. And this is another game. Yes, this is a better team than the Kings, but this is another game that we should have won. We played better. We dominated for a majority of the game, and one fluky goal and one goal that shouldn't have counted were the big difference makers in the game tonight. And it's just frustrating to go through this whole road trip and try to come out with something positive.
And
is there anything that can be positive out of this road trip?
It just makes you think, like, how could this road trip have been different if we just held on, or if Sagan had just buried the wide open net he had, like literally nobody
And
with
we're
the
back
puck
to
in the
Sagan
blue
again.
paint,
Yeah.
or if Holtby had saved a shot that hit him in the logo in Vegas. If we had just won that game in regulation, who knows? We could have won all 3 of these games.
That game in Vegas was not on Holtby whatsoever. He was the only reason why it was even 4-2 to begin with.
I mean,
So
Their third goal was terrible. It went through him. It went through his chest.
And it's also really hard to not talk about Sagan when he's getting paid the most on our team and he seems to have little to none impact.
He has
night in and night
no
out.
impact. All road trip, 0 impact. And he had so many chances to have impact, and he still doesn't do it. He has the puck on his stick in the goal crease with the goaltender away from him. Score! It's so frustrating. I'm really tired of it. I mean, I don't care who he's playing with. He's making almost $10 million. Just
he's making
put the puck in the
$13
net.
million.
This year, technically.
This season he's making $13 million.
Yeah.
And I know his cap hit's only around like 10, but
It's
still.
9.5, I think. Yeah, but
Yeah.
he has to find a way to produce because it's getting ridiculous. It's not even just no impact. He's like actively hurting us now, especially on that power play. Like every time he touched the puck, he was going the other way.
I felt like the power play was okay here tonight. The first couple power plays were decent.
I agree, except for when Sagan touched the puck.
And then I just didn't like the last power play that the Stars had. There was no momentum gained on it, and even though you don't score on a power play, the best thing you can do for yourself is gain momentum, and they didn't even do that with the last power play that they had. So it was just really frustrating.
And how do you gain momentum on the
everything
power
tonight.
play? It's putting shots on net. Like I still, while the power plays were decent tonight, I still feel like we just weren't shooting enough. Like when we get an open shot, like lean on the stick and let a wrister go. Something. Like make a play. Don't wait for a slam dunk.
And we were 0 for 3 tonight on the power play with a bunch of chances. We did have especially that first one. We had a bunch of chances. It looked great, and I think that's what really led to us dominating that first period, especially statistically. Other than in one category, which was goals, which is the one that matters.
Yeah. But like
But
that's where I think Chris is right for saying this. They should have been more physical in this game, especially in that first period when Reimer was giving up rebound after rebound after rebound, and it still seemed like we weren't even in front of the net to even try to catch him when
we
he was
weren't
giving
getting
up
to
them
the
You
every
should-
single time.
You should be diving on that puck in the slot almost. Doing anything you can to get it back on
Or
net.
or even once we saw that he was giving it up every single shot that we took on him, stand in front of the net, just sit there and wait for him to do
Wait
it.
for it.
Mhm. Well, just to throw more stats at you guys. Shots on goal for tonight for the Stars is in favor of them tonight, which is different than the past couple of
We
games.
finally got over 30 shots.
Yay!
Give us a win.
35 to 25 were the shots tonight. 14 to 6 in favor of the Stars in the first. 11 to 10 in favor of the Sharks in the second, and then 11 to 8 in favor of the Stars in the third. And then the totals were up like that. Again, the face-off percentage was a little closer than we would like it to be. We still win the face-off battle overall tonight, but it's still not as good as we want it to be at 53% compared to San Jose's 47%. And we've already talked about a lot of the big ones here on here too. Is the hits 21 to 16 in favor of San Jose, and then the biggest one was the 29 to 11 block shots category in favor of the San Jose Sharks there. So it's not like we weren't throwing them at the net. We were. It's just that
No follow-up.
they were just
Yeah,
making
you
a
gotta
bunch
go
of,
to the net with that puck.
right, exactly. And I think it's those second opportunities that we were just not getting to tonight, and we were not burying.
Yep.
I mean, like I said in the first period, you got to get to those rebounds, especially when they're 3 feet in front of the goaltender and there's nobody between the goaltender and you.
Yeah. Last stat for y'all. According to Natural Stat Trick, the scoring chances for Dallas was 28. The scoring chances for San Jose 17. So outpace them in that category as well. Pretty much every category except for block shots and of course the actual score.
Yeah, the one that matters the most, right? So, okay, I think we're good. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
When do we go back home?
Game on Tuesday in home.
Hooray.
In the American Airlines Center. 7:30 start against the Blues. Division game.
Yeah, this
The
is
rest,
start
of
of
the games. The rest of the games in December are division games.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. This is the start of the all division game month. And we need to win the majority of these games.
And we're gonna be tired for the majority of these games too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this goes on this is the 10-game streak for the Stars where they're only exclusively playing in their own division. So you got to win 6 or 7 of these. At the very least, you have to win 6 or 7 of these in order to stay competitive, because and preferably winning these in regulation, because you don't want to give that extra loser point to a team that is within your own division. So we'll see how all this goes for the Stars. This is a very, very, very important stretch for the Stars, and I think this could be the definition of their season right here, whether they make the playoffs or whether they don't make the playoffs. And right now, with how close everything is in the Central Division, this is going to explode it, and it's going to stretch it out a little bit more even. So we'll see how the Stars do on Tuesday. Hopefully, Rope Hintz will be back, and he'll be ready to go over his whatever illness it is. It is some sort of bug that's going through the Stars locker room. We'll be back with you guys again on Tuesday. Once again, guys, please make sure you go and use the promo code THPN for a special offer from DraftKings. Since they are our main sponsor, we'd really appreciate that if you did. Make sure you follow all of us on social media. James at JamesTheBomb02, Chris at ChrisCham2B, me at StarsBoy12, and then also follow all of our podcast stuff as well. We got it all up there: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapbook, all the stuff. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good and fantastic evening, morning, whenever you're listening.